What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS. So I've been asked to talk about Project 2020-2025, and it's actually something that I had already planned to talk about. It's really deep. It's an over 900-page manifesto. If we want to be honest with you, I would say, I'm just going to be blunt about it, because that's the only way I know how to be. It's an over 900-page manifesto written by Trump allies, former Trump staffers, white men, for their plans to, quote unquote, make America great again. So, when I hear people say, make America great again, what do you think they mean by that? Just think about that. Myself being an African-American woman, who I am American. I was born in this country. This is my country just as much as it is these racist people who were born here too. Don't tell me to go back to Africa, because I've never been there. I was born in America. My ancestry, my roots may be from Africa, but I've never been there. And to be honest with you, I couldn't even tell you where my family originated from, because I've never done my ancestry. But that's besides the point. I was born in America, and my mom and my dad I'm American. This is my country just as much as it is theirs. And they are doing or attempting to do things to turn back the clock, to pretty much get it back to the point where it used to be, when it was white men who held the power, and everybody else, including women, even if the women were the same race and ethnicity as they are, really had no rights. I've heard some of them say women shouldn't vote shouldn't have the right to vote. It's scaring them to see that there are so many other ethnicities that are, becoming successful, that are, having some sense of power, that are doing well in this country. And it's almost as if they feel like people are taking away their rights. And that's not even true. It's not true. They still hold the power. So it's like, what the hell? Like, what are you trying to do? And the crazy thing about it to me, which is the craziest part, is they claim to be Christians. There's nobody that is a real Christian, that is a real believer in Jesus Christ, that thinks that Jesus Christ was a white man and that God is even a man. God isn't even a man. God is a spirit. And the Bible says those that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. They operate a lot of them operate in hate. They operate in superiority. They operate in racism. They operate in sexism. And pretty much essentially, a lot of the things that they want to do with this Project 2025 is they want to roll back the clock to make everyone else that is not a white man, that has some status, be a permanent underclass and not really have any rights, and they want to control. That's what it's really about. And that's why it baffles me when I see these people who financially are not even in the class to be able to, let's just put it bluntly, they're not even in the class that would be welcome in Mar-a-Lago, because they can't afford the $250,000 a year membership fee to be a member. But they'll go to his rallies and they'll say, Trump 2024, make America great again. When honestly, it's not even just at this point, it's not even just about white men being in power, because the white men that are uneducated, have low education, they're just working regular working class jobs. Do you really think that they see you as an equal? It's not. So it's not just about race. It's also about money and power. But that's, honestly, the race thing, it was created to separate And a lot of the stuff that they do, they work people up in these emotional issues to make people that really are not going to benefit from their policies be against what really is more beneficial to them actually living a decent, at least a decent life. Not everyone's going to be rich and wealthy, but at least living a decent life. So they vote against their own personal interests because they don't like a woman's right to choose. They feel like, every baby that's conceived should be born. Like, it's none of your business. I'm not saying that you have to be okay with it, but if it's not affecting you, if it's not affecting your personal life, then why are you even getting so worked up about that when it comes to your household, it doesn't affect the price of bacon in the grocery store? And I'm saying that because Trump is constantly talking about bacon and how expensive bacon is, as if the government controls that. It's the stupid stuff like that, because these companies, they're operating in corporate greed that is allowed, that these corporations want Trump to be in office because he wants to deregulate a whole lot of stuff. It's just, it's really a lot. It's really a lot when it comes to this. But I want to play this clip because he's trying to distance himself from it now that it's getting more traction and it's getting more eyes on it, more ears on what this is. So I want to play this clip because he's trying to distance himself from this when he knows, well, I'm just going to say he's not that smart to know all of the policies, but he knows exactly what this is about and he's all for it. But all he does is lie. So for him to say that he doesn't know anything about it and he doesn't know he's behind it, it's a 100% blatant lie.
Well, former President Donald Trump is preparing for his party convention. It's going to happen next week, but he's also doing something interesting. He is distancing himself from some work done on his behalf. Over the weekend, Trump posted on Truth Social, saying that he has nothing to do with Project 2025. Have you heard of this? It's an exhaustive set of policy recommendations put together by the conservative group, the Heritage Foundation, as well as other conservative organizations. It lays out a complete overhaul of the federal government and a consolidation of power for a would-be Republican president. So CBS News Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett is joining me now to talk a little bit more about this. I'm so glad you're here because people started asking me about this Project 2025, and then most of the information that I saw popping up was on social media, in memes and stuff like that. So let's just start with the basics, right? What is Project 2025 and what is it not?
So in one sense, Anne-Marie, it's something old and something new. What is the something old part? Well, the Heritage Foundation created a book called Mandate for Leadership in 1980. It was a policy document for then incoming President Ronald Reagan, and a formidable and important one. Reagan often referred to that Mandate for Leadership book as a guide to how he approached both personnel and policy in the early years of the Reagan administration. Essentially, the Heritage Foundation, a think tank which also delves into politics, has put together something like Mandate for Leadership for every incoming administration. So that's it's old part. What's the new part? The language is new, and the specificity, though not in name for President Trump, but clearly aligning itself very directly with Trumpist agenda. The language in the opening part of this book talks about cultural Marxism taking over America and the entire federal government weaponized against individual Americans. That kind of rhetoric is something you don't find in earlier iterations of Mandate for Leadership. And it is very Trumpian, and the policy recommendations are also Trumpian. Let me give you a couple of examples. Shift all focus of the Department of Homeland Security to border enforcement and deportation. Another example, turning the Environmental Protection Agency not into a federal agency on environmental protection necessarily, but someone who works with small business and states to manage and integrate their environmental policies, much less federal, much more state. Another example, basically firing all civil servants in the federal government and creating patronage loyalists to the incoming president. That's something President Trump has talked about, and after the Supreme Court ruling, essentially giving the president wide authority. If anything that the president does is an official act, it creates the idea that loyalists for an incoming Trump administration would do everything and anything he said he would do. And if it's an official act, it could be legally defensible. That creates a kind of anxiety about what this new Trump administration would be if it was stocked full of complete loyalists and he had more legal authority than previously imagined to do whatever he wanted to do, as long as it was a quote-unquote official act.
So it seems like everyone across the country knows about this except for the former president. This is basically a how-to book for him and who to book for him, who to hire. Why would he be distancing himself from this?
Because some of those associated with Project 2025 have said some kind of eyebrow-raising things. One of the leaders of Project 2025 last week on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast said, "We are launching a second American revolution." I'll paraphrase here. He said, which will be bloodless if the left allows for it. A second revolution, a revolution against what? The sitting government? And if you do believe the government is run entirely by cultural Marxists and is weaponized against every individual American, I guess it is a revolution against the government. And you're only saying it will be bloodless if those on the left who might protest or resist or somehow try to stop it through democratic means, but there might be blood if they do that? Those kind of things alarm lots and lots of people, not just Democrats, not just liberals, not just progressives. Lots of people in America are like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? A revolution and blood and compliance of the left? So right after that, former President Trump said, I don't know anything about it. That's not true. He knows plenty about it. Many of the people who are most visible in Project 2025 worked in his administration. They are friends with all the other people who are part of a kitchen cabinet or sort of a government waiting for President Trump. So he knows all about this, and he knows what it's built for. He knows why it's been built, but he doesn't want to take the political heat being generated by it just now.
And so what are we hearing from both Democrats and Republicans about this?
Well, this is a welcome respite for Democrats who want something else to talk about other than the constant writhing conversation about whether or not President Biden will be the Democratic nominee or not. We're almost in our second week of that conversation, Anne-Marie, and Democrats, for understandable strategic reasons, are tired of that conversation. They can't seem to find their way out of it, but they have found a kind of thing elsewhere to direct some of their attention, which is to Project 2025. And if the conversation about the future of President Biden had already been resolved, this would be a main topic because it would be something Democrats would focus attention on. They're only halfway able to do that now because of the ongoing drama around whether or not President Biden will be the party's nominee.
All right, Major Garrett, always great talking to you. Thank you.
All right, so you heard that. That's from CBS News. But I'm just gonna share in like a little quick nugget what Project 2025 is and my thoughts on when this actually began and why. All right, so Project 2025 is conservatives' vision for an American society that's a result of gutting all the gains made by the civil rights, women's right to choose, let's just put it like that, the LGBTQIA plus rights that have been enacted, voting rights, and environmental rights movements in order to establish an authoritarian government run by loyalists committed to serving a white Christian nationalist agenda. So basically, all of the things that have been enacted and the rights that have been gained by those who would be seen as an underclass or minorities of some sort that, you know, in those groups, all of those rights that have been fought for, because they weren't just given. Nothing was just given. And even the things that were enacted are not perfect. So I'm not sitting here saying that this country is perfect and that they get everything right. We already know that. That's why these segments, when I talk about this stuff, it's called politics and BS, because a lot of it is BS. But when it comes down to it, even though they say that the U.S. is a democracy, it's never really been a democracy, but it's definitely not been North Korea, Russia, China, a lot of the countries with leaders that Trump admires. He wants, like, if you've ever watched those videos of these, like they say, these, they're not they're not really like parades, but they're really like events where these people are just showcasing their love for their leader. Trump has such a narcissistic, psychopathic personality that he really wants people to idolize and worship him. And even though the ones that already do that, he is okay with, that's not good enough for him. He pretty much wants people to bow down to him and worship him. He felt like when he was in office, those people that were in military leadership roles that they're supposed to be serving the country, he felt like they should be serving him. He wants, if he doesn't like what somebody is saying or doing, even if they are an opponent of his, which there have been opponents of presidents for years running against him to win the office, he feels that he should be able to order the military leaders to go and take their lives out. And the Supreme Court has pretty much ruled that that's okay for him to do now. This is absolutely insane. I know that a lot of stuff that's going on in this natural world, spiritually, there are bigger things going on. I don't know what they all are, but I definitely can say for myself, because I don't even call myself a Christian. I definitely say I'm a believer in God and even Jesus. But the people that call themselves these Christian nationalists, I have nothing to do with that. I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but these people are nuts. They're nuts. And like I was saying, the rights, so to speak, that are here, those things were fought for. Advances were made. People lost their lives for people to have the right to do some of the things that they're doing now. And they're reversing these things bit by bit. So when somebody feels like someone in a community that they may not be in, like you may not be in the LGBTQ community, I'm not. But if those rights have been gained for those people and then you want to turn those things back, it opens up the floodgates for other things to start being challenged. And that's what they essentially have been doing. They took away the woman's right to choose, which was enacted, over 50 years ago? So now they're challenging other things. They've rolled back things with regards to affirmative action. It's bit by bit, piece by piece. So this plan, this Project 2025, Trump knows 100% what is going on. He knew. He was a part of it. He is a part of it. Not was. He is a part of it. But now he's trying to distance himself from it because people are talking a whole lot more about it. And he wants to put the focus on Biden. And now, where is he? He's out golfing. He's getting ready for this Republican National Convention. He's asked the Felon Fire Festival founder to help him to recruit rappers for the convention, for the RNC. Got Amber Rose with her slutty ass on board. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you want sluts and rappers to speak to the blacks, like he calls them, the blacks, so that they can come aboard and vote for him when they're voting against their own best personal interests. Listen, I am not somebody that loves Biden. I'm not somebody who is a Democrat. I don't like a whole lot of stuff that's going on. But like I've said over and over again, I vote because I know that a lot of the things that they do and they have done to take these rights away from people, it's like, if it wasn't that important, then they wouldn't be fighting so hard to take away the rights. They've done so much stuff with redistricting, gerrymandering. They have closed down a lot of polling places that were more convenient for some people who may not have transportation. They have taken away some things when it comes to early voting days. They've put a lot of things in place when it comes to college students so that they can't vote because they know that a lot of those that are younger are not seeing it for these old ways where a lot of these people, they're not that old. Some of these people, they're in their 40s, 50s. And if God allows them to continue to live, they may be here for another 30, 40, 50 years. But they want things to be like it used to be so many years ago. So this Project 2025 thing, I feel, was something that started to get a buzz. It may not have had this term, but the components of it, the desires of what they desire to see, really started to get some play when Obama was elected the first time. Because I will never forget, when Obama was elected the first time, Mitch McConnell said, our main goal is to make sure that President Obama is a one-term president. I don't even think he called him President Obama. He probably called him Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a one-term president. It was infuriating to them to see somebody who, quite frankly, if we're honest about it, he's biracial. He's not even black. His dad is Kenyan and his mom is Caucasian. But for racist people, they don't even see you as partially a part of them. They can't stand to see somebody that they deem as underneath them to be in a place of power where they're deemed to be somewhat over them, right? So Project 2025, people really need to read up on it. You need to be smart. You need to not say, well, I don't like Biden and I ain't voting, or I ain't voting for nobody. You don't vote for anybody. You're voting for Project 2025. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that say that are the ones that it would affect them the most. And not only just affect them. If you have children, if you have nieces, nephews, friends, family, loved ones, don't just think about yourself. It's not even just about you. I've never been one of these people that's like, you need to go out and vote. I've voted because it was just, well, I'm registered. It's my right. It's a right that I have now, right now, until they try to take it away. I've just voted. I've never been one of those people to say, you all need to get out and vote. But what I am saying now is that your life really does depend on it if you do not vote for the person that is opposite of Trump. And I don't care if Joe Biden is on a stretcher. This isn't about voting for Biden. It's about voting against Project 2025 at this point. This man is absolutely insane. He wants to be Kim Jong-un. He wants to be Vladimir Putin, who I don't even know why they have elections in Russia, because Vladimir Putin always gets elected. And if somebody dares to run against him, they get killed. That's what he wants to see here. So it really is crazy to me that people are not paying attention to what is going on. So that's why I'm talking about it. I don't care if only 5 people watch this video. Listen, share it, get on board, and do your part. And if you're not registered to vote, you need to do what you need to do to get registered, and you need to vote, and vote early. Do it while you have the right to do so, because they're trying to take that away. And during the time of the C word, when we last voted, they had the opportunity to vote mail-in. If they still have that, I would implore you to do that. Do what you have to do, but do your part, because this is some crazy stuff. Because I feel it in the atmosphere. I don't know really what is to come, but if there's something that I can do about it to prevent it, then that's what I'm going to do. So that's why I'm talking about it. I may talk about it a little bit more, but it's crazy when I hear people where this is not going to benefit them actually talking about voting for this nut job. So I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. Get your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.